Insider presents Geek Speak with Matthew Harris and Meredith Lachlan. We cover entertainment, news, and tech with special guest appearances. So sit back and enjoy as we geek out together right now.
Good evening, everybody. This is Geek Speak. I'm Meredith Lachlan. My co-chair, Matthew Harris, is not in today. He had an appointment. But today we have two stars from Girl Lost, a Hollywood Story. And I'm going to drop the card here. Just so you know that this is available on Amazon Prime right now. And I highly recommend that you go and watch it. Let's drop the card here. Hello.
Hi.
Let me just move some people around here. So I've got Cody, Renee, Cameron, and Serena Maffucci.
You did well. Very well done. It's
Italian.
Although I will say Ancestry.com has told me that I have 0% Italian in me, but
Really?
the size of my butt says otherwise.
So I love these because these are conversations. They're kind of casual and things like that, and we get to get some insight into, because it's Geek Insider, we get some insight into what it's like on the projects that you guys are doing. Girl Lost. I was telling Cody that I was up until 1:00 in the morning. I had to watch the movie, and then I was like, I couldn't go to sleep until I actually wrote about it. So I left a review and stuff. And it's powerful. And one of the things that I wanted to say was, and I shared this on a blog post that's going to go up tonight. I was selected as a jurist for it was a child porn and distribution case. And it changed my life. I mean, it totally screwed me up. So when I see things that talk about this subject in this kind of manner, I'm like, I'm all for it, because I think people ought to know there's such important messaging here. And you two play villains. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know how to talk to you people.
We're very sinister villains too, I will say.
Yeah. What was that like? Because I've seen Cody on Barbie and Kendra, with Full Moon Features. And so it's very campy. It's very fun. And then to see this role where you are like really villains. What was that like?
Cody, what was it like for you? I'm interested to know too, and then I'll tell you mine.
First of all, here, little cat tail.
Toby is like, I would like to somehow be involved. Earlier, when I was trying to do the Firefox, he was jumping around and chasing the headphone cord, and I'm like, not now, Toby.
He wants to be a star.
He does. I'm sure he'll cross by eventually.
That's fine. We love our fur babies.
Yeah, so this Girl Lost is the first lead in a drama that I've done. So that was really cool and challenging because every genre is so different, right? Like comedy is really about comedic timing is huge and hitting beats, and it tends to be a lot more like fast paced, right? Because you want to keep your audience like up and entertained and high energy, especially Barbie and Kendra, right? Like it's so high energy. And with drama, you really have to take your time and kind of like bring people along on the storytelling journey with you. So that was really interesting, the dynamics, because I was shooting other things at the time too. So to kind of like be able to switch gears and just mentally go into like a really dark place. Like, because for me, when I get ready, like when I wake up and I have like work that day, I start the day like that, right? So I get dressed in Paige, her name's Paige, my character's Paige. So I get dressed in Paige clothes and I'm eating breakfast as Paige. And I don't know, I just feel like the people around me can kind of sense that it's a different energy that you're bringing in, right? And you go to set in your Paige, and sometimes that's hard for me because I feel like I'm a very likable person and I value being liked. And so to play an unlikable character and kind of be this like bitchy person is like challenging, because especially on set when you're staying in it and like, I don't know, I feel like I'm rude to people on set, but that's just how my character is, So I don't know. There's just so many interesting factors to it.
Did you ever bring it home to, people that are at your home? You bring Paige home?
You're like over here, and I feel like, he'll be like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example of a conversation, but yeah, I just like with Paige, I was bossier, right? Like I'd be like, are you gonna like drive me to work or what? Or as opposed to just like, hey, I don't know. There's just like a dynamic shift, and yeah, you bleed it out into your real life, Oh, Meredith, I think you're on mute.
I was gonna say thank you.
Oh, yeah, you are.
It is. It's got to be really hard to turn it on and off.
Yeah.
So I've talked to a couple of people who say, I just leave it on. I just leave it on until we're done filming. Serena, what about you? What was that like for you?
I also have to say I'm like Cody, where I think I'm pretty likable in real life.
Yep.
I'd like to think I'm very sweet until that wrong button gets pushed.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people in their reviews that actually know me personally, that have gone to high school with me and so forth, or see me all the time, including my mom. Me and my mom watched it twice the first day. And she's like, "You're so mean." Right? And that's what everybody's saying, is they just can't believe how mean I was, which it was kind of fun to be that mean for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mind it at all.
It was just like resting bitch face the whole time, and like soulless. And I know you're not.
I try not to be.
But I mean, there were some scenes where, and I'm going to say it, there was the gang rape scene, and I cried. Man, I cried. I was just like, holy crap. That must have been really hard to film. What was that? I mean, it was hard to watch. What was that like to film? And how were the guys with that?
Well, her mom was on set. So
oh, wow.
That
must
was
have been
interesting.
Awkward.
Not really. She's so sweet. Her
Mm-hmm.
mom, Camber, is just amazing. She had a great attitude, and I think it helped because we all made her feel more comfortable, she said. And I actually, at first I was shocked by that whole thing and thought, oh my God, why the hell would you want your mom to be present for this? But then it made more sense, because if the mom is just seeing it on the screen, she's going to think, God, what is happening off screen? And, was she okay? But since she got to be there and see that when we are off screen, we're just normal, nice people eating snacks.
Mm-hmm.
So many
Lots of snacks.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I've done scenes like that, and I've worked in the fetish world and done lots of like sex scenes for like HBO and stuff. At HBO now, you have to have an intimacy coordinator, so there is somebody literally there, and their one job is to make sure that everyone's on the same page and comfortable, and they're the liaison between the actor and the director and everybody. But we're just a low budget indie film, and so this is one of the things I've been really talking to a lot of people lately, is like, there's no rules. Like, there's no rules to follow. It's like, okay, today's there's a sex scene. What are the rules to follow? It's just how everybody communicates together. And on some sets, there's a lot of communication and people feel really comfortable. And on some sets, there's not, right? And that's why you hear about the Harvey Weinsteins or, because you do, as an actor, you live out what's happening. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I'd never been on set where I wasn't the victim in the scene. Right? Now I'm the villain. And so for me, I honestly, not to make it
like, woohoo, all right. Sucks for you.
I'd rather it be happening to me than to her. It was so much harder to watch it from an outsider perspective, because I just know what it feels like. And she's 18 and she's never experienced stuff like that, obviously. And I don't know, it was really dramatic, I think.
That was an intense scene for sure. Watching it, I had forgotten certain things that did take place. Like, there's a part that's in the European version where my friend, one of the rapists, is actually licking my boob. And I was like, I had no recollection of that. And that's during the rape scene. So I'm like, that happened, huh?
Blocked it out.
Mm-hmm.
But the guys were all very nice. That ended up being a really late night. We thought the guys would only be there for a few hours. And then I think it went over, they got into overtime. And we're filming downtown in kind of a shady area, and there's so many different aspects to it of like what's going on. But everyone was really cool, and Robin,
Professional.
yeah, and Robin, the director, is just amazing, and she has such a great energy, and I feel like we all communicated really well, and there might have been some wine on set to help. Yeah, it was intense, that's for sure.
And that was a late night too. Weren't we on set till maybe 3 or 4 a.m. or
Really
maybe later?
Yeah.
So now, how did the story come? How did the story find you, or how did you find the story?
I submitted just on Actors Access, so just through a website, and then I went into audition and got a call back, and then actually, my manager called me and he's like, I don't want you submitting to like low budget films anymore. Like we're only going to do network. We're only going to do this. And I was like, no, but this is a lead and I really like the story and I really want to be a part of it. And then it turns out he knew Robin. And anyway, it was kind of a weird thing because so many things were happening where it was like, maybe I wasn't supposed to do the film. But when I got to do a chemistry read with me and Moxie, that's when I think Robin was just like, wow, like you guys are the ones. Because I know Psalms, she plays baby girl. She had actually read for my part, but then her and Moxie didn't have any chemistry. And so that's always just really interesting to hear afterwards, like how you got picked or, what it was. And I thought too, in your actor brain, Moxie, we both have like long blonde hair. And I was like, oh my gosh, we look too similar. I'm not going to book this because she's already been picked. And then they ended up, it kind of worked out because I have this big sister vibe with her, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and you played that role perfectly. You really did. I believed most of it when I was watching it both times. I'm like, wow, gosh, that's really creepy. Her hands going in her pants. And I'm like, wait. This is all acting.
So creepy.
Yeah, I was sitting there. I'm like, she's 12. What are you doing?
No. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was really well done. And I personally fell in love with the first movie. And I didn't know Robin had been a part of it. I knew Robin outside of it. I didn't know she had done that film. And I watched the film and then I'm like, oh, I know that girl that's acting in the film. I didn't put two and two together. It was her movie. And then later I got the script. I got a call to read a script and I read it and I loved it and realized it was the sequel to that, which things like that happen to me sometimes. That's the second time that's happened where I've fallen in love with the first movie and somehow I'm in the second one. So the universe has worked in my favor quite well.
That is really
also
cool.
the script that we got originally changed a lot.
A lot.
There was a whole nother character that was involved originally, and then they filmed like a day with her and it just didn't really work out. Like it wasn't vibing with the rest of the storytelling, and so they cut that, added more for us. Our parts got written more. But then when we saw the final movie, a lot of our stuff got taken out. Like, I feel like, especially my character had a lot more development where you saw maybe why she was the way she was and kind of her trauma, and that all got taken out. And so I feel like my character was a lot more, maybe not a lot more, maybe a little more relatable. And like, you just saw why she's a villain, as opposed to now she's just like pure evil. And you're like, okay, I don't feel bad for her.
Yeah. Well, we got a taste of that at the end, and I don't want to give any spoilers. I really want people to go and watch it. But speaking to the character development, I would really love to see more. I think later on, maybe a director's cut where we get those back. To get those scenes back, because I think that's really important too. Especially with this type of content, a lot of times it's cyclical. You grow up with the abuse, and then you become the abuser. It's kind of like one of those things that happens. I mean, and it's terrible. But so, what is it like for you two in Hollywood? I hope and pray that this isn't like your story.
It was definitely kind of my story in the beginning of when I got to Hollywood. I was definitely sex trafficked by this creepy guy doing things that should not have been going on. But it didn't really affect me. Like, I'd like to think I'm pretty normal after. And my whole thing is growing from those experiences And now I'm in a position to help others that are going through similar experiences.
Mhm.
So what about you, Cody? What was your Hollywood?
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, I think that's again why this story was really important to all of us, is because we could all relate to it. Especially besides Moxie, I think all of us have kind of worked in, we come from the Playboy world, or like the sexy photo and video world. And so, we're really familiar with this kind of thing. And even if it's not something that has happened to us, it's definitely stuff that's happened to our close friends. And yeah, it's like LA, to become an actor, like a successful actor or model in LA, you have to make sacrifices to your morality, and unless you have rich parents, and there's some like nepotism going on. If you come out here and you don't know anybody, you are for sure going through these things. And yeah.
Well, it's funny because my sex trafficking incident happened before I moved to LA. I was just out here put in a hotel by LAX for like 3-4 nights, making nothing. And then later in life, I had started dancing in San Francisco. And then later in life, I moved to LA and became a pretty successful adult film star. And everything was glamorous at that point. Playboy Mansion and in with the right crowd, and you're going to every great party, and you're hanging with every celebrity and rock star. And I mean, I was living my best life, which I still am living my best life. But to think that I was once put in this little crappy hotel by LAX in that position, and then later transformed to where I really wanted to be.
And how do you wind down after filming something like this? I mean, obviously it's not all done in one day, so it's not like full immersion, but then again, it could be, because I know with the indie budgets and things like that, it's really hard. So you have to cram as much content in there as possible and work as efficiently as possible. What is that like to kind of go home and unwind? And how are your significant others? Do they kind of give you space, or are they, like, do they cater to you just a little bit more?
Well, I think one of the great things about Robin is, in the whole set, it's mostly a female, female actresses and writer, director, producer. And because Robin's been in the industry and understands what it takes mentally, she kept the hours like pretty short. Like we mostly worked 8-hour days, which is insane in the film industry. A normal day is 12, or in a big day is 16, 18. And so she cut it down to 8, which really, like, energetically was amazing. And sometimes there were late nights that came into early mornings. But for the most part, like, I loved her schedule. But then what sucked is we actually ended up having to reshoot a lot of the movie because the first cinematographer just didn't get what she wanted.
Or what we wanted, either.
Or what we wanted. Yeah, there was kind of a lot of drama on set from the males in the crew. And so we reshot a lot of it, which was a challenge because, I mean, as an actor, you're putting a lot of yourself into the role. And so to do it a year later, I'm like a different person than I was a year ago. And so reading the lines is different. What I'm pulling meaning from is different. And so that was really challenging, having to match things. And then obviously the technicality stuff too, like, the outfits, do I still have those fishnets that I want? I think we kept, there was a thing about shoes. We're just like,
yeah.
Because we didn't have a wardrobe person. And like, again, I come from mostly movies where you have like people designated to do certain things for you. And like one day we had to do our own hair and makeup, and I'm just like, I don't know, or, but those are all the challenges. I don't know if I haven't watched closely yet to look to like, maybe in one scene I'm wearing different rings than in the next scene or whatever. The nose piercing was a big thing. But yeah, and I mean, I like to have a drink after set. That is kind of my wind down, to go like be in a public space and kind of just feel that energy. That like really helps me. And now with everything being closed, you don't really get that in LA. But yeah, that's always if I have a great day on set, I like to go to like Musso and Frank's, have like an $18 Grey Goose martini with blue cheese stuffed olives. That's like my very specific treat for myself.
Serena, how about you?
Oh, well, I don't have a significant other, so nobody here was helping me wind down. And at the time I was definitely in the house with myself with my fur babies. But I never found it hard to wind down from it. And like Cody had said, Robin kept the days short, and it was a pleasure to be on set. Honestly, it really was. Me and Cody looked forward to seeing each other, and we really did make it fun. And even in our downtime, we were still good. Or Cody was reading other lines, practicing for other things she was working on. I was going through my corral of boys I was going to go on a date with later, or what have you. Just comparing notes.
Just sharing dick pics with each other, you know.
No big deal. No big deal. And then, as far as the continuity aspect, my big struggles were, like Cody said, we once had a shoe day where me and Cody didn't have the right shoes we were supposed to have a year later. And then for me, I changed my nails a lot. So it was like,
Wow.
oh my gosh, are my nails going to match, a year later to what we already shot? What did they look like? And then there was, when we got to see the final screening, there was a part that happened so fast with the nose piercing. Whoever's hand it was looked like a really pretty hand. And typically I don't like my hands per se. And I was like, Robin, whose hand was that put the nose ring in? She's like, it was yours. And it sure was. But you just forget things like that.
And we're so lucky because we found out so we had run in the same circles, like we, like Miami, Vegas, Hollywood, we have a lot of the same friends, but we had never personally met.
We've been on the same private jets, just not together.
Exactly. When we got on set together, I mean, we just vibed immediately. And it was funny to hear other people be like, so how long have you guys been best friends? And we're like, we just met today. And then we're neighbors. And so we started carpooling to set. And yeah, it was just, we go out together now. Like, I mean, we're very good
We
friends.
get each other presents and surprise each other.
I told her, because she was like, oh, the flowers. And I was like, oh yeah, it was just my birthday. And I was like, oh, Serena actually sent me cupcakes. It was so
I love that the happy birthday Cody part was my favorite part of those cupcakes.
Oh my gosh. Now, so tell me about what women in Hollywood and women in pretty much any industry, we're still, I don't want to say we're still breaking the glass ceiling. I think that there are a lot of cracks in it, and we've been, really at the top of our game in a lot of things as far as corporate, people like Robin who are making movies, impactful movies and things like that. Have you maybe gotten any pushback from the male counterparts?
Yeah, there was definitely on set the dynamic between like the cinematographer of the first one and Robin.
Yeah, you
and
mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, was very toxic.
Very all around.
It was very toxic. Robin said that she was going through a lot of the footage and she couldn't use it because I was like making faces, I guess, of disdain. But
the lighting was bad. He just was shooting us. Every angle he shot was from the floor up. And any woman will tell you that is not a flattering angle any time of that.
You can still tell in some of we couldn't reshoot the entire movie. And so the things that were salvageable, Robin, edited it as best she could and put it in the movie. And I don't think it sticks out unless you knew it. But I mean, I watch it and I see any shot that's up our nose. I'm like, oh, that was the first guy. And it's just such a bummer because, it's such a beautiful, like, it's an awesome story that needs to be told. And he just wanted to rush us. He didn't let us play as actors. He didn't do anything to make us feel comfortable. If anything, it was like quite the opposite. And that was just such a bummer. And Robin was just constantly fighting him, which made us lose a lot of time in like getting her direction or, being able to dive deeper into things. So, yeah, that was an interesting aspect to it, especially a story that's being told about how uncomfortable it can be to be a female in this world, to have a man hard was
to have a predator type situation.
That must have been I understand the pushback on that, because when you have a vision and things like that, how much input did you two get to have when you were on set and screen? I mean, were you able to say, like, I don't know, Robin, some of these lines don't really work for me. I mean, what was that like? How much input did you guys have?
We'll be back with Cody, Renee, Cameron, and Serena Maffucci right after this. The global lifestyle accessories brand known for their expandable phone grips, Pop Sockets, has expanded into the phone case category with their newest offering, Pop Case. This multifunctional protective phone case is designed with a slidable grip for adjustable comfort and phone standing preferences. Slide the integrated grip up and down along channels on the sides of the case for an ideal landscape and portrait viewing experience. Available in a range of translucent colors and graphic designs for iPhone 12 and 13 devices, Pop Case elevates the standard phone case to a multi-tool solution that is sleek, durable, and functional. Head over to popsockets.com and use coupon code GeekInsider10 for a 10% discount off of your purchases. That's right. Head over to popsockets.com and use coupon code GeekInsider10 and save.
Were you able to say, like, I don't know, Robin, some of these lines don't really work for me. I mean, what was that like? How much input did you guys have?
I think she was great. Anytime we felt something wasn't working and we did kind of suggest something. I mean, Cody's so great. She was able to be like production manager certain times, PA. She's helping with the lighting. So, I mean, it was definitely a team effort there.
Yeah,
and she was open.
Yeah, Robin was very open to our suggestions. I try really hard as the actor not to also direct because nobody wants that. And like when I'm on set and an actor is trying to direct, I'm always like, shut up and do your job. Your job is to say the lines. But yeah, I mean, just back to what we were saying earlier about the first male cinematographer is that it almost felt like him versus Robin, he would just overpower her. And so sometimes we felt like we had to step in, and now it's like 3 versus 1, but he won't listen to us. And it's just, it was crazy. He said something really, I mean, we all have stories about the shitty things he said to us, but one of ours, we were sitting in the car waiting to like go somewhere. And he was like, I think I was talking about something like technical. And he was like, oh, well, something, said something shitty. And he's like, I mean, this is your first movie, right? And I was like, bitch, I have way more credits than you. And like, just those like snide little remarks all the time of like undercutting all of us just was like not helpful, in any way.
And it happened a lot.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. I don't even know what to say to that, except, I hope somebody put salt in his sugar, for his morning coffee or something like that.
I think karma definitely does some wonderful things sometimes.
People like that are just unhappy, and so that's how we win, right? Like we're like Serena and I are two of the like most optimistic, like meet people you'll ever meet, and so I think we win. But another important thing is that like we also, I personally feel like we don't want to be trouble, right? Like we don't want to be high maintenance, and we don't want to be bitchy or bossy or all these terms that you only use for females, right? Mm-hmm. And so none of us ever really talked about it. You just take it, right? I'm like, okay, well, he's being rude to me. I can take that. But then when he said something to Serena one day, I was like, don't talk to her like that.
And then we would look at each other every time he was being like, and we just knew.
But we didn't all come together until after he was already gone, and we started sharing the stories together. And then we were all like, oh my God, had we known this from day one? Robin was like, I think I would have dropped him a lot sooner. But that's just, again, the culture of, okay.
We don't want to be problematic.
Yeah, let's just be polite and take it. And like, that's fucked up,
Yeah, it really is. But you know what? Despite that, I mean, for me, I wouldn't have known any of that, so now I kind of want to look at it and go, all right, let's take a look at Serena's nails.
Right.
About their shoes and things like that, because usually the second go around, it's just, like that. For me, I love diving in and seeing where there might be movie mistakes and things like that. Yeah. It's like, oh, I saw, I don't know whether it's like just the creative eye or the director's eye. But speaking of, have you thought about perhaps directing or writing your own, or maybe collaborating with each other again?
I mean, I would do anything with Cody.
I was just gonna
literally anything. Name it, I'm there.
So Robin, actually, her big picture for all of this is to make this into a TV show where you do get to hear, it's like each episode is you dive deeper into one person's story. And so, the first Girl Lost was such a success that she's pretty confident that this one's going to be even bigger. And so hopefully she gets the opportunity to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I've like sat at my computer and written writing. I just feel like writing is not really my thing. But directing, I would love to do. I would love to like collaborate with somebody on a piece and get in more into directing. And I feel like that's the natural progression of you're an actor. And that's why you see like Brad Pitt and everybody produces their own stuff and directs their own, stuff, because that's just the natural progression. You start to develop that skill set and like, oh, I want to do that too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to. I have no interest. I just want to be the actress and show up to set and do all the things and watch Cody direct me or Robin.
And you took the direction very well.
Why, thank you.
Well, that's it. It's like, I think there's a certain passion for it where, again, we've talked to a few people, and the natural progression for them was, well, I've always wanted to be behind the camera, not in front of it, but they had to kind of cut their teeth on the acting and seeing the process and things like that. For the two of you, do you like the dramatic acting?
I do. I really do. And my goal this year, or maybe next year, the way things are going, is I would love to be killed in a horror film. That's my next step in life. I feel like Cody could probably help get that down, or Robin.
I'm going to try to help make that happen for her.
That's where we'll be next year.
I love being behind the camera, but at the same time, like, I feel like the two of us just like put us in front of the camera and we're like ready anytime.
That's true. Whatever it is, we got this.
We love to entertain. Yeah.
Now, what about like off-screen shenanigans and things like that? Practical jokes, things like that?
Oh, we do practical jokes all the time with each other, or like goof around, or like Cody was saying, we try and spend time together when we're not on set even. It's a little tough with the pandemic, but
we spend a lot of time like roasting people on the internet, on Facebook.
Wait, this might be a good time for me to ask a super important question. You might be familiar with this. I just learned of this yesterday through our friend Steve Fowler, that Cody apparently had a pretty big role as Hooker in The Tree #2. Can we talk about that? It's a big role.
That was for Tosh.0, and my credit was Hooker in Tree #2. Yeah, there were 3.
And it's listed that way in the credits.
It was one of those reenactment videos, and the original video is this chick. She looks like a hooker because she's dressed, and she's in a tree, and she's just screaming at cars passing by. And so Tosh.0 did a reenactment, and he's like if you accidentally murder a hooker, just bury her, and in 20 years you'll have a whole tree of them or something. And so he had this like shovel and like a hooker and in the ground, and then he was like throwing dirt on her, and then cut to 3 of us in a tree. And then my line was, for $5 I'll let you plant that green thumb in my dirt hole.
I'm going to have to find this on the interweb later.
Yeah, in the Tosh.0 archives.
Yes.
Oh, I have it. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
So I actually love comedy, I think, is my favorite. I just love the fast-pacedness of it over drama, but also because I know some people love to like sit in their feelings, especially as an actor, right? Like that's like what gets you off. Like, but for me, it's uncomfortable, right? Like it feels icky. And so I like comedy better, but drama is definitely very challenging. You're definitely getting in touch with a lot of like childhood trauma that you bring up. There's a scene where Serena is crying legitimate tears, using stuff that happened in her real life to say the words that are on the script, and that was really hard because my character wouldn't cry, but like Cody would cry. You're Paige, not Cody. You're Paige. Paige would not cry.
And Robin was crying during that. At one time, like there was like 3 of us on the balcony just crying.
Oh my goodness.
I told you, when I watched it, that is the if I can cry or yell at the TV, usually that is an indication that it's a really good movie. And so, when I had the feels and I was crying and I was angry and I had a stomach ache by the time I was done. I just went to bed and I was just like, and it just stayed with me. And again, anybody who's tuning in, if you're watching on the replay or if you're listening on the podcast, make sure that you head over to Amazon.com. It's on Amazon Prime. It is Girl Lost, A Hollywood Story. It's the 2020 version. I don't know if the 2018 version is up there. I have to take a look. That's
It is.
It is, because our friends keep watching that one and they're like, like you watched.
We watched it an hour and a half and I didn't see either one of you in it.
Oh no.
So I don't know how that works as far as when ours will be placed in front of that one. I don't know, but I hope soon because it's happening a lot. I actually struggled myself finding it that first day because I found out about it on Canberra's Facebook post. And then I went to go look for it and all I could pull up is the old one. And that's when I texted you guys, Cody. And I said, is our movie out or am I just completely crazy?
Yeah, you definitely need to type in Girl Lost, A Hollywood Story. You have to type in the whole title.
Right.
Find it.
Yeah. Because I found it on, actually I saw it on Cody's Facebook stream. And then I went over to IMDb. And then from there, I was able to click the Amazon link. So very easy to find if you know where to look. I go to IMDb for a lot of this stuff, but it's really cool that they have that option to go right to Amazon so that you can watch it from there. So definitely, guys, tune in and watch that.
It's free too. Like there's literally no excuses. It's free.
Yeah, seriously. And then leave a review.
Yes, please.
That really helps. I can't even tell you how much that helps independent creators to get their movies and their content a little bit higher up on the search engines and stuff like that. Let's talk about girl power, empowerment, and things like that, and maybe staying healthy in mind and body and spirit and things like that. I don't know if you guys are very spiritual or what you do as far as relaxing or getting in tune with nature and things like that, but how do you stay empowered and stay kind of true to yourself and not get lost, especially when you take on roles like sometimes several maybe in a year?
Serena, you want to go first?
Oh, am I going first? Well, first I hang out in my casket a lot.
Please don't you have a casket.
I do. It's sitting awesome. Right next to me, actually. It goes with my death and sex on my wall.
That's awesome.
But I haven't actually gotten into it. It's not very comfortable, but I do a lot of hiking. I like to drive, and I'm working full time as a case manager in domestic violence and sex trafficking. So I'm taking on a lot of that and trying not to bring that home too often as well. Mm-hmm. So I guess just, I have my mom here. I take care of her now. Her health isn't great. So that's kind of keeping me out of trouble. And as far as like keeping my spirits uplifted, I'm a generally pretty happy person like Cody is. Cody, I think that's why we clicked, because our glass is always half full. And, you could put us in a storm somewhere with crocodiles and I'm sure we would find a way to make the best of that situation and laugh about it later.
Yeah, that was, again, when we were carpooling, we would just get in these conversations about like, not taking things personally and being optimistic and changing your perception on things. Like instead of like, oh, I have to go to work, being like, oh my God, I have the opportunity to go make money. Like little things like that. We had these like deep discussions. This lighting is killing me, right?
Really? I think that you look beautiful. I keep you look like you're glowing today.
Little dots. But yeah, and I think we also both read, like I like to read like You Are a Badass, and like I guess they're classified as like self-help books, and I just really think like perception is everything and you have to constantly be working on yourself. And It's COVID right now and quarantine and everything in LA is shut down again for another 3 weeks. There's no gym.
Or longer.
Or yeah, we all know it's going to be longer. So I like to do, when I can't get motivated, I do these like 10-minute YouTube workout videos, because then like at least I'm like, okay, I can give it 10 minutes. To think like, okay, I don't know if I can go on an hour-long hike or work out for an hour, but I can give it 10 minutes. And then of course 10 minutes usually turns into 20. And even if it doesn't, you're like, oh, at least I did something. So I don't know, I guess like setting really small goals that are very reachable is helpful in like building. And yeah, I just think everything starts with like mentally just your perception of things,
And now what do you guys have planned? Like what is like the ultimate get as far as maybe who you want to work with, whether it is another actor or maybe a director or something, like, or is it just kind of hammer down and just get the next job, because we all got bills to pay.
I want my next project to be with Cody and getting killed in the horror movie. That's my goal.
Getting killed in the horror movie. That's funny. Would you prefer kind of being glammed up and stuff like that, or just like dump the bucket of blood on me? I don't care.
Oh, I want to be glammed up, but then just chop me into pieces. I mean, hang me, whatever you want to do. Just as gory as possible. And then my life will be complete.
Casket.
Exactly. We could even put my casket in the movie for my funeral. I mean, it could be a whole thing.
My Mustang made it under the Girl Walk movie, so that was exciting.
It sure did. And you look great driving that Mustang too.
Thank you. Yeah, well, so my boyfriend might be working on a Marvel movie soon. It's funny because he's sitting right on the side of the computer.
Oh.
Hi, boyfriend.
Hi.
He's a teamster, so he works in transportation, and so getting to work with him is always really fun. He got me on New Girl. He was working on New Girl, and so I would love to be in a Marvel movie. I think that would be really cool. I do stunts as well, and so to be like somebody's stunt double, or just like getting to ride my motorcycle in the background of something, I don't know. But I've always just wanted to. I mean, I just love entertaining, so as long as I can be on set doing something.
Mm-hmm.
A half-hour dramedy like New Girl is always like really cool, or something actiony. I think those are my top two.
Yeah. Okay, so like one of the things that with Geek Insider, we have a lot of people who are into comic books and things like that. Do you guys do you like the geeky stuff like comic books and all that?
I don't personally. I'm probably going to get slaughtered for this, but I've never been into the Marvels, and it might be because of my upbringing. We didn't have TV when I was younger. I didn't have any brothers and sisters. I was basically playing with my old used Barbies in the dirt, basically for entertainment. So when that was all kind of a thing, and Spider-Man and Superman, I did have a big crush on Superman, the original Clark Kent Superman. Mm-hmm. But other than that, no.
I honestly wish I was more into it, because I know it's so trendy right now. Like gamer girls are super in, and everyone's on Twitch streaming. And I mean, I like to play Super Mario Kart.
Yes.
And I love, again, Barbed Wire is like my girl, right? Pamela Anderson in all leather riding a motorcycle.
Yes.
I'm into that. Or like Catwoman, into her.
Or Stripperella.
Pamela
Anderson.
I'm more into like Tim Burton, like dark, Edward Scissorhands, like my thing, or anything claymation, like Nightmare Before Christmas or Coraline. I really love like
the original Rudolph the Reindeer. That was
there's like this creepy dark element to things that I'm really into that. Like
no wonder we get along so well.
I know.
Now when was this filmed? Was this filmed where you had to worry about the restrictions of COVID and all that? Or no,
I think we started filming it 2 years ago and then did reshoots a year ago. And then
was it 2 years ago?
I think so.
Good Lord.
I know.
Okay. Wow.
So yeah.
But what about projects now? I mean, because it's like a whole other dynamic. We were talking to Leonardo Corbucci. I don't know if you guys are familiar with his work. He does Cyborg's Universe, and he does a lot of commercial work and stuff. And he was saying that he had to go in as a director. He had to go in and like maybe one person would come in and they would have to adjust the microphone, and then they would have to leave and like sanitize it or something like that, and then the next person would have to come. And he was like, it was this whole crazy process. I know, from speaking to Cody, that working really quickly with Full Moon Features and being able to work and film during the pandemic and everything, they found some back roads and things like that. Have you been like, like we're working, shh, don't tell anybody, what's that this past year?
There's definitely those projects that are like, please don't post this because we don't want to get shit for it. And then there's like the major productions that are just, they have the money to throw away in it, but the budget that they're giving is like, if your movie that you need 1/3 of your budget to be added because of PPE, extra COVID compliance officers, extra set medics, and the time, really, that was a problem. I worked on what was the last movie? Waking Up Dead. And that was one of 5 films that shot during the lockdown that was SAG. So we actually did everything as we were supposed to. And the problem was that it was just so slow in shooting because of that. Like, one of the rules was that you weren't allowed to even take your mask down to take a sip of water. You had to go outside to do that. So like the camera operators that are literally glued to their cameras all day, now everything has to shut down so they can walk outside and take a sip of water. We were losing 1/3 of the day in what we could have been shooting just by having everything being slower. And so you have to add days. So there's the whole budget there. And so, yeah, they had to raise a whole nother 1/3 of their budget. And then for indie films, it's impossible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you know what I didn't do was play a bump. So we're going to be right back after about 30 seconds. So if you guys need a sip of water, we'll be right back.
Check it out. MobileEdge.com has award-winning products with innovative features and contemporary, edgy designs that empower you to look sharp and travel smart with your mobile tech. Your beloved, not to mention expensive gaming gear and mobile tech devices are an extension of you, so give them the protection and style they deserve wherever you go. Find them at MobileEdge.com and protect your tech with Mobile Edge. Bring it on.
And we are back. This is a Geek Speak with Cody, Renee Cameron, and Serena Maffucci.
You do it so well. I'm so impressed.
It's the singer's diction. The double C is the ch for Italians.
That's true. Just like for Armenians, it's like anything that's like ska or something. You always know that's an Armenian last name.
Now, Serena, I wanted to turn the mic over to you a little bit because you were saying something about your day job, your work and advocacy, and I mean, what is your role? What do you do? Because that's very interesting.
I do case management.
Okay.
So I have a caseload of clients, whether they are sex trafficking victims, domestic violence victims, and I just advocate for them. And we make sure we get them into the shelter, make sure they have food. Right now we have a great program called Project Safe Haven that's ran by the state for COVID. And they gave us 100 extra hotel rooms to put our clients in because we ran out of space. It's just so many people right now. And we still have more clients coming in as it's going. And it's around the 1st of every month, we get very busy. For some reason, I don't know if the stress of rent being due or what causes household fights but we offer free therapy as well to our clients. We offer free legal services. We offer help with their resumes and job searches, and we really help get them established with permanent housing and just help get their lives back on track.
That's amazing work. Now, is there a website for that, for Safe Haven?
It is. It's genesecenter.org.
Okay.
And they're wonderful. They're wonderful. So if anybody out there needs help with that, and, we keep everything very confidential. We have a hotline that can be called as well. So, or anybody could reach out to me privately on social media or something, and I can help any way I can.
Okay. Now, is that local or is that national?
Local.
Okay.
We are local here in LA, but we have 3 different sites right now, and we're getting ready to open a 4th here in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
But it's wonderful. And I can honestly tell you, I have the best clients that are so grateful and so thankful, and they're on the right track and they've been successful. And I get a lot of clients that have moved forward, and they reach out to me like, oh, I got this job I was trying to get. I just want you to know, and thank you so much for pushing me. Or here's pictures of my new house. I've got it all decorated that you guys helped me get, and thank you cards. And it's just really uplifting.
I think that's great because, you know, a lot of times people just need a yes, you know, or a leg up, a little boost or something like that. Not a lot, you know. I mean, I think most people, when they're in trouble, they don't maybe they don't feel like they deserve help or have the confidence to actually ask. You know, maybe in a way they find that demeaning, and that's really unfortunate because then you get into bad situations and you make these and bad decisions because of those things, you know. And to have an option like that is just amazing.
You know, even though I come from a domestic violence household and seen a lot of it myself over the years, until I got on board with Genesee Center, I didn't realize how much of it is truly happening every single day here, and the sex trafficking, and just it's definitely eye-opening.
That's I feel like one of the things about Girl Lost is a Hollywood story is that it opens your eyes to maybe something that like you didn't know what was happening. And I love that's one of like Robin's big things is she wants it to bring awareness, you know, and that's why there's like the quote 80% of female runaways are involved in prostitution because how else? What are you going to do to pay your bills? You know, like if you don't have family, that's another thing. Like coming to LA, like you know, I drove 3 days straight to be here, and you know, when things got tough, it's like, well, what do you do if you're estranged from your family? Who do you ask for help? You know, so knowing that there's resources out there is huge.
Right. It's crazy.
Now we are at the 51-minute mark, and I want to make sure that people know exactly where to follow you guys. So if we could, you know, if you have social media that you want to share, we're also going to share that out on our blog and in the show descriptions so that people can kind of stalk you, but don't peek in the windows. Okay, that's bad.
My windows are up really high, so.
My stuff is all at Hey It's Cody. It's CODEE for social media because it's like code red, code E. So
well, that's a good way to remember that,
right? Because everyone's like, your name is spelled CODY. I'm like, I know it's kind of confusing, but it's meant to be like all streamlined and cool. So yeah, Instagram, Twitter. I think I even have a SoundCloud still. Like everything is Hey It's Cody. And then yeah, head on over to the Instagram, and then you can click link in bio, and you can find my OnlyFans and my Patreon, and then you can get content there that's available nowhere else and stuff. So yeah, lots of stuff to look at.
Mm-hmm. Lots of good stuff. Well, you can find my Instagram at Life of Misbehaven. So MISSBHAVEN. And then I do have an OnlyFans, Miss Brookhaven. And I do have a Twitter out there somewhere. I'm not too hard to find. If you really look, you'll find me. Maybe outside your window.
Hey.
Ooh.
You never know.
And some are like, yes, please.
Right? Here I come with my ladder.
So now, like, what are you guys working on immediately? Or are you just kind of taking a break, maybe trying to do a little bit of a junket, you know, to help promote the film?
I just auditioned for a werewolf movie yesterday.
Ooh.
So yeah, we'll see about that. I'm constantly auditioning, which is again a weird thing in LA because things aren't really shooting. So I keep booking things, and I'm like, when are we shooting this? In like 6 months? I don't know, but
a year.
Yeah. But
so it might be like an avalanche of things for you, like when things open up, that you're going to be like, sorry, you know, like, oh crap.
Yeah. But I was talking with you earlier before we turned on the stream that, you know, as a content creator, you can kind of always be creating your own content. And so I schedule stuff with my girlfriend Dare and Floral and Carlotta, and we're always making. Oh, actually, December 8th, we're filming a little Christmas special that'll be out right before Christmas, and that's all like it's YouTube, but it'll also be on Instagram and stuff clipped up. But yeah, just constantly, as long as I'm like in front of a camera or creating ideas, and I feel like I'm doing something.
You are one of the busiest girls I've ever met in my life. It's very commendable, honestly. Like you're very motivated, you're driven, you keep busy, you stay on it, and you have a stellar reputation for showing up on time with a good attitude, and so people will keep using you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Yeah, that was something, and thank you for mentioning that, because a lot of content creators, what I had mentioned was that when we're in between jobs, it just feels like it's so easy to fall in the dark place, whether it's depression or whether it's just like, oh, I'm just going to hang out on the couch and binge watch Netflix, with a bag of potato chips or something like that, and it's that's not productive. And so how do you find the motivation to keep going, to keep hustling for that next thing? While my dogs are barking.
They just want to let us know that they are also here.
Also relatable, because that was literally me on the couch yesterday. I think I ate almost a whole bag of Cheetos and like a 2-liter of Coke. It was just,
I love Cheetos. Oh my God.
why are they so good?
Cheetos and goldfish are my drug.
I try to schedule stuff, man, and make it with other people so that I'm held accountable. Because when you're making your own schedule, when you're motivated, great, right? You're getting it all done and stuff. But when you're not, it's really hard to drag yourself out of bed. And once you get in the habit of canceling things or just saying I'll do it later, it can be, can be bad. But yeah, just making a schedule, I think, is really important. Even if it's, on your phone, you're like, okay, from 1 to 3, I'm going to turn my phone off and I'm going to study these lines, or I'm going to write, or whatever it is. Just something little, do something for yourself once a day. And when you start with that, it tends to inspire you to want to go longer or do more.
Mm-hmm.
I need to work on that with working out. I have such a great little gym in my apartment. Cody, you're welcome to come use it anytime. Maybe we could trade off where I come over and we do yoga. You come over here and use my amazing machine.
Yes.
It's right next to my bed, but you would not be surprised how you sometimes don't find the time to get on it.
They are.
I have to be better.
Hanging clothes on.
Yeah, or my cat loves to use it as his nail sharpener, apparently. So he's getting a lot of use out of it.
Oh no, it has really been a pleasure to sit with you guys. I hope that when the next thing comes up, that you have an announcement or anything, any kind of news, that you can come back to Geek Insider, sit with us, talk about it for a little bit. I appreciate you talking about Girl Lost, Hollywood Story. For anybody who's listening again, make sure that you head over to Amazon Prime and watch it. Leave a review. Tell your friends about it too. I think, again, for me, it's an important story. I think the more that a light is shed on those stories, the more empowered we are to do something about it. See something, say something, that type of thing, and really advocate for people who might not have the voice, their own voice to speak up. And so I want to thank you for sharing your experience on set, and the friendship that you guys have forged together. It's been a blast. And just kind of talking about the process. I hope you come back again.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
And on that note, you guys, make sure that you tune in, follow the YouTube channel. It is Geek Insiders with an S at the end. And hit the subscribe button, hit the bell if you want notifications when we go live. We've got a great lineup of people for the rest of December, and we're starting to fill January. So tune in for more excellent Geek Speaks with people who are like our friends Cody and Serena.
Yay!
You guys have a great evening, and we'll see you soon. All right, you
We'll
guys,
see
strike
you.
a pose. All right, bye.
Subscribe to the Geek Insider podcast on your favorite listening app and sign up for the newsletter on our website. We also have advertising opportunities through the website, podcast, and newsletter. For details, contact advertising at geekinsider.com. This has been a Geek Insider production. Thank you for listening. Geek out!